Hello everyone, welcome to Life on the Hulls with our epic gel coating of our 40-foot Catamaran Deck complete in the morning. We all went home and had a little rest after that big stressful event and came back in the afternoon and started to prepare to lay our first laminates of a 300 chop stream matting tie layer. Now this is a pretty standard tie layer that'll be laid on pretty much all production boats prior to ultimately laminating, and the result was absolutely superb. So that's where we're going to kick off today. Let's get into it. Feel like I'm at a material shop.
Spotlight.
Spotlight. Are you free?
No, that's
Grace Brothers.
Oh, Grace Brothers.
that's yeah, that's it. Are you being served? I watched it.
We haven't got another roll.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the gel coat session this morning was successful, wasn't it, honey?
Yeah.
And
Really good.
and now we're just cutting our tie layer and try and get some of this on today. The gel coat's looking pretty good. We can get some tie layers on our walking areas. We'll be able to walk around. Beautiful. So we've got our little trolley here. How many you got, Jan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. What length are they?
4.3 metres
By.
by 1.2, I think they are.
Okay, so how many square metres does that make? Come on, quickly, quickly.
I don't know.
Multiply it by 10.
4.3 by 10 is
No, they're only 1 metre. 1060.
Righto. So,
43.
how long?
1060 by 10 is 10.6 metres
By.
of width
Yes.
by 4.3, so 45 square metres roughly.
Very good.
Pretty good, eh?
That's all right. We didn't even need a
Not bad.
calculator.
I've been bloody slaving away all day, all right?
Slaving away.
Gotta play up to the camera.
This is fun. It's not a job. Isn't it supposed to be fun?
Apparently.
Sorry, it's 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Round 2.
Pretty good. Well, this is the afternoon shift, and we've just tapped this resin.
Ooh.
Okay.
Look at that.
Someone keep an eye on that. Right, Sam, we've got a fresh, clean drum here.
Really is Breaking Bad.
This is Breaking
The
Boardman. That's what I'm calling it.
blue crystal's coming out.
Don't call it that.
Look at it.
I know.
Oh, thing's breaking me. The family that laminates together stays together, sticks together, literally, with resin. We've got the team in here. We gel coated this morning. We're walking around. It's like we're in an Arctic wonderland, and we're going to get a couple of tie layers down here. Let's go, team. Where you going, huh? Alright. So from here, top, alright? So the first layer we put down was 300 CSM, and basically I started to play with the catalyst here to increase the set time. I wanted it to go off reasonably quickly as we were heading into the night. It was around about 6 o'clock, I think, by the time we started laminating. I adjusted the catalyst from 1.5 to about 1.8% on my machine, and that's the beauty of that machine, is I'm able to adjust that incrementally and play with the catalyst to achieve a better result or a quicker result. With 4 of us there laminating, we were able to put this down relatively quickly, and I chose then to put 2 layers down at once rather than just one tie layer. By putting the 2 down, I believe I get a better surface to walk around on in the future as I start to lay down further laminates and certainly foam. By just putting 1 down, it does actually increase the prep work given the size of this job. If we had a team of 10 working on here, we probably wouldn't have needed to do such a heavy laminate to start with, but those 2 laminates are part of the schedule, and in the next episode I'm going to run you through the laminate schedule for this deck and why it is as it is. Now, it's never ideal walking around on fresh gel coat, but in this case, we really don't have any choice. I don't have any sort of scaffolding or platform arrangement that would be possible on the job of this size. If I was building this boat commercially, I possibly would weld up some sort of a moving track with a platform on it that could roll backwards over the top of the hull, and thereby negating having to walk on the gel coat. We've sort of eliminated any problems by wearing clean plastic bags, and those bags are essential to keep the dirt and any grit and any impurity off the surface as well. By using the bags too, it does mean that you can't go in and out of the site. So as soon as they're on there, if you need to take a break for a moment, you really have to rebag your feet again, and we did that pretty consistently. Now you'll notice here working as a chain gang here on our laminating. We're actually working in a circular motion. I'd spray, I'd roll out the cloth. Janet and Ellen would then roll the resin into the matting, and then Sam would come along with the fin roller or the consolidator and basically remove any air bubbles. And we sort of have a pretty good process here as a family, because although we'd never done it as a group of four, it seemed to work. One thing to really note was how careful we had to be walking around on this surface, as our feet was sticking to the gel coat because it's still tacky from this morning's effort. We had to really move slowly and make sure also that we didn't fall in any places, because it is quite a precarious environment. Another really interesting thing that we noticed too was the fact that because the white surface with the white tent, we had an element of snow blindness in there, and it was very, very hard to pick up the little fluctuations in texture in the matting. So it took pretty much a trained eye and a very careful eye to make sure that we got that cloth down and consolidated carefully. There were a couple of little tiny blemishes when we were finished, but not anything to be concerned about, and nothing that couldn't be fixed at a later date.
Please pay attention when they touch it. Cinematography here, Zach. Good way.
Can you use those scissors, Sam? I forgot about you, didn't we?
Left-handed things.
Left-handed scissors.
Ward hates them.
Might be an idea if we just sit them off to the side, hang them over that bar there, Ellen.
Yeah.
And then I know those ones are for there. So the first thing next morning at around 8 a.m. we started on the rear cockpit section, and this is basically ensuring that we've got all of the high traffic areas covered with those two layers. It is pretty crucial because I'll be climbing all over this structure over the next couple of weeks trying to get foam and other laminates down, and that was a bit of a challenge up there because we're up quite high and it was quite a warm morning. As the sun hit the tent, it did elevate the temperature a lot, and we found that the four of us up there was quite a challenge working around each other. I had a couple of problems with my mask fogging up, and yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming, particularly in that heavily sort of white environment, plus the smell of the fumes and everything. And we all had good PPE on. I think Janet found it a little bit overwhelming, and yeah, we were pretty much pushed to get as much volume down as possible. And you'll notice that the laminate actually, as the spray comes out of the gun, it actually changes colour. It goes from that blue to a sort of a light green colour as it catalyses, and you'll notice that sound of the air pressure continually in the background of this entire video. Now that is an air assist function on the gun that helps to atomize the catalyst, and little did I know that there was a slight problem with the gun right from the gel coating stage. It certainly didn't affect it, but it wasn't helping any, and I did actually rectify that some days later, but that particular problem I had didn't really affect the catalyzing, but it certainly it could have had that hose actually failed in the middle of the job, and I would have been in a world of trouble. But at this stage we got it all down, and by around 1 o'clock on the Sunday morning we were in a really good place where we had everything consolidated down. Oh, it's the morning after the big weekend, and wow, that was big. We got 2 layers of 300 CSM on pretty much all of the center of the boat here, right down. I've tarped this whole area here, and what I'm doing today, well, actually before I do that, I'll just show you up the top here. We also got 2 layers up on the top of the cockpit floor, so that was pretty good going. I think we did pretty amazingly. We've got all the places where I need to walk done. So good to get that done. It means I can now traffic over the surface, and I'm just trying to get as much of the detail done now so that I don't have to come back and worry about those little pinholes and things like that. So what I'm doing today, this morning, and I'm a bit too tired to start laminating major sections, but you know, I'm going to try to get to that tomorrow to get the final side down along the gunnel here and along those window mullions over there, get another couple of layers on that, and thereby sort of keeping with the chemistry. Now I'm using an unwaxed polyester resin for this deck, and that means that it's ready to accept resin simply at any stage. It hasn't got any wax or any sort of floating in it that makes it float to the surface and cures it. So technically it's not really cured until it's finished, but it will still mean that I'm going to keep it clean, and I'm going to have to give it a light wipe with styrene just to get it going again. What I'm doing today is I'm just going to work around these hatches. Now we tried to cut around them as much as possible. I've just spent about an hour trimming and sanding any little air bubbles. I intend to do a lot of detail work here just by hand with a brush and get these hatches all pretty much completed up over the side, at least to get the strength for, you know, they're going to be walked on. There's going to be some hard surface hatch pushing down on them, and make sure that these radiuses are all laminated in properly, rather than the other day we were just all 4 of us in here just going full on hell for leather trying to get as much volume down. I think we did pretty well, given it was only really a full day's work to get as much of this done. It took us pretty much, we were here till about 9 o'clock Saturday night, the day we gel coated. Got half of it done, the other half done first thing in the morning. It was knocked off at about 8, 9 o'clock at night, and everybody was knackered. I mean, I just crashed just afternoon and slept for about 12 hours. I think the stress, the mental build-up, all of that happens when you're dealing with a project like this, and you know, it's nice to kick off another milestone. So the milestone of gel coating and the first 2 layers, not 1 but 2 layers, is already down on the majority of the boat. Pretty bloody happy. So around these hatches, I'm going to do 2 layers of the 300 just to get it tied in, and then 2 layers of the 600, and then another layer of the 300, and then I'm going to put another, probably another layer of 600 double bias over the edge of it. I want to make those as strong as anything. Hatches are things that people walk on. They're things that get slammed shut. I want them to be perfect and never give me any grief. So lots of detailed work here, probably a day or so of detailed work here just to get these hatches all consolidated in. Three more to go. That's been all day to do them, but worth it because that's now got 8 layers on it. So very, very good way to make hatches is to take your time and slow down. The thing is, if we'd have tried to laminate those the other day while we were getting bulk material down, we would have got a million air bubbles, and now I know for sure that I'm not going to get chipping of the gel coat or any subsequent problems. You'll notice here I actually had to add a little bit of gel coat here because we got a bit of glass up against it. I had to cut it away with that Stanley knife, and as a result I've had to re-gel it. But now that it's done, tomorrow morning I'm going to be able to come in and finish that hatch and this one, and then I'm going to start laminating down this side, and I'm going to leave that hatch and do it properly just like I've done these ones, and the same do on the other side. So I need to do both sides all the way down in one hit, and that's going to be a bit of an effort. I'll be putting down, you know, 2 layers straight away. They'll probably take me 2 or 3 hours to do each side, and then I can start concentrating around the window mullions here, and then that large section up around the rear cabins there, which is around that circular part at the back there and right up around the back. But yeah, so happy with the progress here. I had a good day. I've had a good day. It's been a bit of a more relaxing day for me today, and able to get myself a little bit recovered from what was otherwise a massive day. I mean, that was a massive week, to be honest, and the last 3 days it just nearly killed me. But anyway, we're there, and yeah, starting to look like a boat. And I've finished all the hatches up the front there. All 5 of those are done. I haven't done the ones on the bow, the very bow, those sail lockers up there, because ultimately I want to get the glass down as much as I can. I'm working within the 72-hour period of this gel coat. I want to make sure I've got some tie layers down, and we're sort of not up to 48 yet. I'm going to run from out the back of that hatch all the way down this side as far as possible with 2 layers on my own. So it's going to be pretty hectic, pretty hard work, but I want to get that done as quick as I can, and tomorrow morning I'm coming to do exactly the same down here, and then I'll start working up over the back. So plenty to do. I've just fired up the machine and it's ready to go, and the gun is all serviced, ready to go, and that means I need to be ready to go, so I better get going. Good morning, team. It's Good Friday morning at about 8 a.m. I'm going to have a few hours in here. What I've got to do, I've got to finish the 2 tie layers down in the back here. I've pretty much done the whole boat except for those 2 layers in there because it's so convoluted and very complicated. I'm just going to sit in there and plug away until I get it done. Got to do both sides, and I thought I'll try and crack this out this morning and then try and go home and have a bit of time with the family. But yeah, it's been a bit of a job getting this tie layer down. We got the bulk of it down with Sam and Ellen and Janet last weekend, but now here I am 4 or 5 days later. The essential prep though on that gel coat, because it's sat and the dust's been getting on it, I've given it a really light wipe with some styrene just to clean any dirt and any residue off there. It's been a pretty, I guess the humidity is around 67%, but the problem with this tent is that it gets moisture on the surface of the inside of the tent through the night, obviously coming up out of the ground. And what I'm going to be doing from tonight, I'm going to start to turn a fan on and make sure there's always air circulating in here for the subsequent layers, just to make sure I don't get any humidity in between those substrates. So yeah, for now I'm going to be working up in there, and I'll bang it out. And because there is a bit of rain forecast on Tuesday and Wednesday, so I want to make sure I've got this entire surface covered in case I get any dripping onto the surface of the boat, and then it'll have absolutely no effect on the final product. It is Easter Monday. I spent all day Easter Friday in here, had a couple of days off once I got most of the tie layer on. Got a couple of little spots. I'm going to have to prepare that gel coat, just give it a very quick swish with some dry acetone on a very light rag. You don't want to be putting too much on because it's sat there. All the trafficable areas are done. There's a little spot there I missed because I actually dropped the gun and chipped the gel coat, so I'm going to re-gel coat that today, and then I'll be able to finish the tie layer with a really quick swish of acetone. You don't want to be putting too much on. When you eat through it, you're going to end up into your mould and affect release, and ultimately a bad cosmetic finish at the end. This morning, I'm going to get this side finished and that side finished, and then I'm going to come in tomorrow with my orbital and just give it a really light sand, the whole thing, because it's been more than 2 days since I laid it, so it's time to put down some subsequent layers. I've also got some other areas I want to tidy up around the hatches and around the gunnels, but you know, pretty much it's been not a bad effort for 4 or 5 days work, but yeah, so humid and so hot. I'm really pushing the envelope this week, and I think I got a little bit fumed out the other day, and I've got a good respirator. It's just sometimes when you've had 5 or 6 days of this stuff, you need to just take a day off, get some fresh air. Went paddling, had a nice kayak out on Jervis Bay yesterday, and cleaned up some rubbish off the beaches from all the floods. But yeah, so that area up there, that area there, pretty much that's all I need to do. I still need to do the lounge room at the back, the lounge suite at the back, but I'm going to leave that. That's like a whole day's work on its own, a bit like the hatches. Needs to have a lot of detail and get into it. So I've got my gun ready, I'm suited up. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, ready to go. Late, there's just been that much work to do, and this area here right in front of the cockpit door is my last section I need to put the 2 layers on. Has to have it on here. This is the most trafficked area in the whole deck, and I've had a tarp down here. I have most of it laminated, but certainly around this last margin here, then it does need to be completed, and it needs to be completed today. Once I get this down, I can put the tarp back down, then I can pretty much traffic and not worry about knocking and chipping the gel coat. I've had a couple of little gel coat chips where the guns hit it, where I caught my clothing on it and it's pulled it off. It's that well released that it does actually lift off if it hasn't got glass consolidated or tie layered down to it. So I'm going to glass around this area here where the cockpit roof actually joins to the salon roof, and ultimately there's a large ridge here that is raised, and the other thing actually intersects with it. So I'm going to glass that. It could well be cut out. I haven't decided how I'm going to integrate that yet. I may well make it all one piece, or I might leave it there as a solid join to allow the cockpit roof to match. You'll see that as we get towards the end of the build, as I start to put the last part on. But for now, I'm just going to get the rest of this laminate on. It's about 28 in here at the moment. It's putrid. This weather's just been so humid and so hot of late. And you know, we're in the 10th of April right now, so you know, you'd think it would have cooled off a little bit.